Hello everyone, it's Dmitry and Surfalytics. Today we'll talk about Agile and Scrum, but I won't talk just about this in the theory. I want to help you to understand how the data teams using this methodology to actually working like day to day. For example, if you join company, your chances that you face Scrum board, Kanban board, like epics, tickets, really high. So for you, it's very good to think about it. If you never experience something like this, then you probably should spend a bit time to understand. And again, if you have your resume, if you have your job descriptions in your past experience, try to think how you collaborate with the team, how you move with the team, how you do your task in this framework. By the way, it's very important, subscribe, and also leave comment. Bad, good, doesn't matter because it's all affect the SEO metrics for YouTube. Please do like, please leave some kind like couple words, and yeah, now we can start. So the first thing I want to highlight is quite popular. It's when we compare Waterfall and Agile. So there are two common approaches. And actually, if we look to this framework, one of the students of member of Surfalytics created, there are different models of software development life cycle, right? There is sequential, there is iterative, there is incremental, there is agile. And we, in the data field, more or less, everyone is using Agile, they use Scrum and Kanban. But just for you for understanding, because I used to work both in Waterfall, for example, then I used to work in the big bank. And the project was to build the data warehouse from scratch. We work in Waterfall method. The project took almost 2 years to complete. We started from gather requirements. We meet with our requirements, writing lots of documents, and this is probably the role of the business analyst, system analyst to understand requirements, to create the functional designed documents and all kinds of documents that can be produced by system or business analyst. So then there's design phase, the back and forth proposals. You need to agree with the business stakeholders, maybe architecture team, what you're going to do. Then you build down your projects, what's the phase, the Gantt chart with the projects. And then you actually start building it, first in dev, then in testings, then production. And it might take really long time, and usually it takes longer than you need. So this approach is quite slow. And maybe for software, or maybe then you build like spaceship rocket or any other things, it's better to do this slowly and produce the good quality. Then we work on the things like building the dashboards, collect some data, building machine learning model. We care about the speed. We care about time to market. And Agile works very fast. So the idea of Agile that, okay, and we also will talk what is the sprint. You start from one task, you have one big project to deliver, maybe analytics solution. And your goal, trying to do everything, all phases, then you build analytics solution, all layers, and trying to actually show to end users something, maybe end of the first or the second sprint. Then you can get feedback, iterate, and improve. And as a result, you're moving pretty fast. And while your project is not yet finished, your customers, your end users can benefit from this. They already can start look like if you have the scope of like 50 metrics, and if you will publish 2 metrics, they already can start look this, and it will help them a lot. So now let's look to the case. Assuming you given the task, my favorite, the domain, digital marketing, you given the task to build dashboard that will highlight. And this, by the way, example of real world dashboard, like Google Ads spending, Facebook ads. You have some built-in Tableau. You have some filters here. You have timelines. You have donut charts. I like how they look. There is also known like existing lollipop charts, another popular one. It's not right here. Some channel performance, right? So people basically can look here from marketing, quickly understand how much they spend and what's the efficiency of the channels, right? And what's the the most important metrics like clicks, impressions, spends. There is another dashboard. It's Google Analytics, right? You have sessions, users, session durations, what campaigns they came, what pages they look, also like reference. So ideally, you might build like one big dashboard. This is your task, right? How you gonna do this? Let's first brainstorm in case of waterfall. So the first, you probably, assuming you're part of data team, you assign the task to build this dashboard. Of course, in many companies, you don't need to do anything till you get the exact like Jira ticket or like ticket to task what to do. But your proactivity and the way how you can communicate with the business stakeholders and go to the marketing team to collect what they want, where is the data coming from, how to get credentials, definitely can benefit for your career. But if you're just on the early stage of career, of course you need to focus on the technical skills, but this can help you. Like because usually domain things is more like common sense how the business works. There is no any magic, there is no any algorithm, just means common sense, understand how things work. So in case of waterfall, you will start from collecting requirements. You go to the marketing team, understand what they want, maybe how they want to present the data, where is the data coming from, how frequently you want to refresh it, how you establish quality, documentations, training. So collect as much information as possible. Then you go in design phase. You will maybe create the sketch. Maybe you can write some functional specification. Maybe you will write the task for data engineering. Maybe you'll add more tickets breakdown on your board, like whatever you use, Confluence or any other systems for management of tickets. Because it's involved also, right? You might need to bring this data in data warehouse. You need to build data pipeline. You need to understand how this will fit in the overall data warehouse landscapes or many things. And you come to the point that actually the projects start moving. I don't know, maybe you build this, maybe you work with other team. Right, the first in data warehouse, you need to build the staging area. You need to somehow bring the data from the source applications. You need to grant the credentials, permissions, right? To do the work, you need the tool that can do this. As soon as data in staging, you can do the fact tables, dim tables, and you can start very simple. Even before you build any automation, you can just dump CSV file from the like applications, Google, Facebook, and trying to build the tables using this. So your data warehouse more like static, but you understand the structure, you can understand the data model, how the things connect and how you can query. Then you decide, okay, now we can automate. You build the pipeline. Maybe it can happen at the same time, depends how many team members you have. And then you can do the ETL pipelines to connect the things together, extract the build automation, and load data into your data warehouse or data lake. And then as soon as data is ready, you can start work on the dashboard. Again, the dashboard could happen in earlier. But the thing is, you won't show your dashboard to end users. To basically, you won't start the dashboard before your data starts coming into your data warehouse and data warehouse is ready. So, and then final piece, you will work on the dashboard and show the dashboard. So the whole cycle will take really long time. This is waterfall approach. Now we can talk about agile and really tie it to the real world examples. So again, requirements is important. The better you collect requirements and understand what should be done, the more time you save for yourself. Because there is probably so many nonsense things. If you ask, what kind of data do you want from Google Analytics or from Google? And probably your answer will be, I want all data. And all data is, it's a lot of data. So that's why during the sprint one, so that's why it's very important for you to collect the requirements and trying to clearly understand like that. It's very important for you. Okay, if we talk about the data source, like how many tables, what's the timeline? It's like we want 1 week of data in the past, we want all data in the past. How many Google accounts you have, Facebook accounts you have? How you want to structure this? How you want to connect? Is this possible to connect the marketing data with the sales data? Maybe we can use email, but obviously you don't have email in the data warehouse because it's PI data. Maybe you have some customer ID. Those all questions good to ask and good to have. And maybe you brainstorm with your team and you define the sprint, right? The sprint is a scope work. It's limited time frame for you. Maybe it's like usually it could be 1 week, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, or similar. So the thing is about the sprint that the sprint for data team usually 2 weeks. So you brainstorm with your team that you want to do like, okay, we need to build one pipeline for the first sprint, for the first 2 weeks, maybe just integrate the Google Analytics. We want to create one table in data warehouse, maybe just a staging table, and connect it out of this, create the fact table and connect this fact table to the BI tool, and then BI people can build little dashboards with just 1-2 metrics. And this is good enough to show to the users, and you can collect feedback from the users, and you can demo them this in the end of the sprint. So you can basically show the value, and you can show that you're moving really fast, you listen them, you understand. If you somehow misunderstood the requirements, there is still the way to fix it, because you just work 2 weeks, you learn how to integrate, you learn how to build. So it's like quick and dirty solution, but the most important, you show this to the end users, you get the feedback. And maybe for the next sprint, okay, you collect your feedback, like you fix the bugs, you decide, okay, we need to build 2-3 more pipelines, bring more data, build more tables, build more charts in the dashboard. Okay, and so on. Like you have the review, sprint review, you have the demo, and then you're planning the next sprint. Again, you will fix the previous bugs. Maybe there is some security enhancement. Maybe you start thinking about how you can bring engineering excellence. Can you save your code in GitHub? How you do the code review? How you will do quality testings, and maybe more dashboard use case, and so on. So let's try to look real-world example of Scrum process. Assuming you're part of the data team, it doesn't matter. You can be a manager data team, you can collaborate with data team, or you can be just engineer or analyst of the data team. So usually, the role of the leader of the data team, it's usually a manager or the product manager, is to build a backlog, and then set backlog of the projects or opportunities. This is really ties to the company vision and mission, and also to company goals. So, some companies using, for example, objective key results like OKR approach, then you quarterly define your like 2-3 goals. Some using different frameworks, but idea that the companies, they all usually have some kind of like strategy. They have their goals. They want to hit revenue. They want to hit number of the customers, or maybe improve the performance. So this is like the big goals that the company wants to do. The role of the data team and the leadership of the data team to talk with the business leaders and the business stakeholders to understand their goals and how they want to measure them, and how your team, I mean the data team, can help to actually make it happen. That's why for every person in the data team, first you need to understand that you basically part of the bigger organization. Your work is not just in sake of the work and writing the SQL, Python, whatever you like. You actually do the work that matter for the organization, that matter for organization goals. In other words, you should be closer to the people who use the data, who make decisions, and where is the money lives in, right? If you work on initiatives, high-profile initiatives that's really driven by the company vision, company mission, and company goals for this year or quarter, that you have high visibility on your career, and your project probably have high impact. That's why it's always really important to think about this, because it all goes into your promo doc, right? That you're not just building like another dashboard that no one uses, but you actually build the thing that's really important that everyone gonna use. So raise the backlog of the project opportunities. The rest could be many different things here, and that's the role of VP of the data, director of the data, or manager of the data, anyone to talk with the business users and maybe establish the framework how the business users, they should be aware that the data team is there and they work for them. What's your intake look like? How you will take the request from the business teams and how you can make it happen. So as soon as you define your backlog of projects and opportunities, then you're moving to the sprint planning, right? We already agreed that sprint duration 2 weeks. So it means if sprint duration 2 weeks, depends on how many team members you have and what's their capacity. You can now start thinking about priorities. You can think what's the most priority. And it's a role of the leader to understand what's the priorities. And because there are many different business teams and they all want something from data team, the goal of the leader of the data team or data organizations to protect the rest of the team, to clearly understand the focus and manage expectations of everyone from the business stakeholders, and then agree with them that now you have limited capacity, and now you're going to work on this and this after you finish this. So you basically, the data team can build their own data strategy to support the organizational strategy with the goal to meet the organization goals. So you do the sprint planning, right? You meet all together, usually for 1 hour. It could be like, for example, end of current sprint, or if you just implement this, it could be just the things you start. So you have task breakdown. For example, let's return to our example with Google Analytics and digital marketing. So for example, you can think about, okay, we create the first ticket, it's like data, the project name in Confluence, and the number of the ticket. The first ticket we create, we need to find the way how to connect the Google Analytics. The second ticket, we need also build the pipeline that will move Google Analytics tables to data warehouse. And also, of course, we need to understand how many tables, right? Then we build pipeline. We also how frequently we want to sync, like we want to do it incrementally or like copy data every day. And then we need to build staging tables in data warehouse for Google Analytics. And then we need to build fact table or fact tables. Usually our tickets should be really measurable, like the staging table is one table and it's clearly, right? You just need one table on top of one like table in the source, and then one fact table. Yeah, obviously you can here define, maybe we can like, if we decide here 2 Google Analytics tables, right? We can say two staging tables for Google Analytics, right, in your data warehouse. And then using those 2 tables, you can build one single fact table. Then optionally, you have the task to backfill the data. Okay, you build everything and you can collect the data from moment as soon as it's production. Then you need to backfill, like understand like last 6 months, last year. And then you build a simple dashboard. Again, you should maybe say what exactly metrics you want to place. And this is the role of the data analyst or BI developer to understand what's the best way to present the data as soon as you understand what kind of data you want to present. So of course, this is just the tickets, and you can also weight tickets. And it's very common to use Fibonacci numbers. And this is like, it's you have every number of day increase. Like for example, you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. It's just growing, Fibonacci sequence. What is interesting here, that usually 5, it means 5 days of one person, where 3 means around like 2 days for one person, and 2 means around like 1 day, and 1 means it's like half of the day, couple hours. So that's why it's very important to create the task that's really clear what should be done, especially if it's not senior person or like more junior person. The junior person needs more guidance. That's why in the ticket we should explain very clearly what should be done. And if you like need to communicate with someone, if you need to build like the table, what's the table naming, ways to save the code, and like trying to make it clear for everyone. So we just assign the weights. And how that assigns the weights? Usually it's the games calling poker planning. It basically, you can use built-in service, you can use external. This is screenshots from poker planning. I think it's Google poker planning. So during the meeting, team can say, okay, you just talk, okay, we need to build fact table, and let's now weight in on this ticket. Each team member vote how long it takes, right? The ticket number 4, and team can vote like from 1 to 5, assuming. And some people vote 2, some people vote like 3. And then if whatever average or bigger number votes, we assign this, right? If we have some question why everyone took 2 and someone put 5, maybe there is some information that we don't know. So everyone has options to to talk, right? Why they vote for this particular number. So, and this is what we have, right? We assign weight for each ticket. And then the next one, we need to assign tickets to the team members. Maybe it's data engineers get pipelines, data analysts get the dashboards. Maybe you have multiple data engineers. Maybe you can split this, can the work done in parallel. At the same time, you should remember that during the sprint, there are some on-call questions. For example, if your pipeline failed, or there are business users might have questions and someone should monitor, for example, Slack channel where everyone can ask like questions. So we assign tickets there, and usually the rule, if sprint 2 weeks, we should have not more than 10 points per user. And then how it works, what's happened the next. So the next sprint is starting, right? We say, okay, sprint is starting on Monday, or sometimes it's like starting on Wednesdays, doesn't matter. So the sprint is starting, and since that, every day we have daily stand-ups. Sometimes it's every day, sometimes it's like Friday, no meeting days. Sometimes like it's Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, doesn't matter. It could be anything like stand-up schedule. Sometimes it's even not the meeting, you just write the update in the Slack. It's more like async, especially if the team works in different time zones. The goal is here to basically understand where is everyone and especially identify any blockers, because the team is committed to deliver this in their first sprint, right? And we need to make sure by the end of the sprint it's all done, because we're gonna show the demo, we'll write the newsletter for the end users and telling them how exciting like new dashboard looks like, and how team really work hard to build the dashboard pipeline and fact tables. So, and then it's soon the sprint over. We have one more thing, very important, retrospective. So I personally don't like them, but sometimes it's helpful do from time to time to you can learn what was good, what was bad, and especially it's very important for the manager of the team to understand how he can be more helpful. So this, just look this example, and now let's look how it looks visually. Right, this is Kanban board, also known as the swim lanes. If you ever use Trello, it's very similar. So we have backlog task for the sprint, and you can filter it by the team. So it's, this for all, and then you can by the team specialization, or maybe by even for engineer. So we have green is a data engineering task, and we have orange is a BI task. We have backlog. This is all the task for current sprint. Of course, we also have the bigger backlog. And if someone finish earlier their task, they can take their any task from backlog that's not assigned for this sprint. But this backlog, it means the task that you have for this sprint. In progress, the tasks you currently work. And in review, for example, if you finish already a task, and maybe you're done. And the blocked one is, for example, BI task. It really depends, right? You couldn't start the dashboard before you build the fact table. That's why this task is blocked, right? This is how it works. And this is how every data team worked. And it's really straightforward. And I think it's really beneficial for anyone to understand how it works. And I know that no one really teach it how it's exactly. Then you focusing on enhancing your career, you learn the SQL, maybe Python, maybe different tools, but you have no idea how the company operates, and no one really asks on the interview how these things works. Everyone expects you just know this, but not everyone knows this, and I hope this lesson will help you to clearing this out. And now then you join the company, not only will be able to understand what's inside their repo, like different file types and different things, but you also understand how the team operates and how they're moving, how they get shit done. Yeah, okay, that's it for me. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and yeah, bye everyone.